Hey guys, thank you for joining me for another oil painting time lapse today. I want to acknowledge that I haven't uploaded here on YouTube in a moment due to some unforeseen events that took place over the last couple months, but I am back to a regular uploading schedule, so if you are here sticking it out with me, I just want to extend my gratitude and say thank you. So today we are going to be working on this realistic mountain painting. This is my first attempt at painting realistic mountains, and what I mean by that is painting these with intention behind every brushstroke, adjusting the different colors and the angles that I'm using, and just trying to make it a little bit more photorealistic than the way that I've traditionally painted mountains in the past by using a palette knife. I'm sure a lot of us are familiar with the old Bob Ross style of painting mountains, and that is what I've done up until this point, and I just wanted to take a different approach and try to do these just a little bit more thought out. So it did serve to be a bit more of a challenge. However, that is the exact thing that I appreciate about the painting process. Each new piece teaches me something new about my skill set or areas that I could improve on, and even certain things that I struggle with that I need to let go of and be a little bit more free with. So it's always going to be a journey and a never-ending learning process, but that is what I thoroughly enjoy about art, other than it being super therapeutic. So anyways, let me stop rambling. We are going to start off by mixing our paints here. I did pop up the different oil paint colors that I'm using for this piece on the screen. If you were curious, that is there for you as well. But I never start a painting just by using the colors that come straight out of the tube. I always mix them and try to match the colors as close as I can to the reference photo that I'm using, and I feel like that definitely helps add some depth and dimension into my artwork and also help it look more realistic, which is usually what I strive for. So that is what I'm doing here. I'm going to start off by mixing the colors that I see and head into the very first layer of the painting, which is the blocking in phase. When I'm blocking in a painting, I'm really just looking at the overall composition and just trying to cover up the canvas with limited detail and just make sure that I have a rough idea for which colors I need laid out and where. So I'm putting my darkest colors where I see that they belong, and then my lightest colors where I feel like those should exist as well. But I'm not spending a lot of time in this first part of the painting with a lot of the details. I build up the details with each layer that I paint. So this is kind of just getting the groundwork laid out for me so that I can get a better vision overall of how I want my painting to look. And it just kind of maps out the painting for me so that I can see a little bit more clear what things I need to adjust as I continue painting. So after this point in the painting, I actually abandoned this piece for quite some time, and it just sat in my studio, taunting me. No, I tend to do this a lot with my artwork. I usually get inspired when I'm working on a piece and have a million more ideas for other things that I want to create, and so I begin those half the time. And on the other hand, with oil paintings, I like to let layers dry in between, so it's kind of nice to be working on several at a time so that I can hop around. And I feel like it also just helps me stay inspired with each piece. You know, in the past when I've had a commission or something before, if I'm working on one piece just by itself for an extensive period of time, it's easy to kind of get lost in the vision when you've been staring at the same thing for a multitude of hours. You can get a little bit disoriented with what your piece is actually looking like and what parts of your painting need to be adjusted or improved, or which areas you can leave alone. So I do find it helpful to work on several pieces at a time and just kind of hop around from each one and do what I'm feeling inspired to do in that moment, instead of just trying to force the creativity out of me just for the sake of getting a painting completed. That's exactly what happened with this one here, for no particular reason other than that I just abandoned it for quite some time, and it sat in my studio for many months, honestly, before I picked it up and started working again. But that is what you're seeing me do here. As you can tell, I have a second color palette mixed up at this point in the painting process. And I'm starting off by just going in and going over these mountaintops again, and this is where I really start to add on the details. When I'm trying to make a painting look hyper-realistic, I'm really paying attention to all of the little color adjustments that take place and the different angles and ways at which I need to pull the paint around to get it to kind of mirror the reference photo that I'm following. So I know it can be a little bit deceiving seeing these time-lapse videos all sped up, but honestly every brush stroke that I'm making is very well thought out and kind of tedious, but that's the beauty of painting. It kind of takes you out of your head and you really aren't thinking about anything other than the piece in front of you that you're focused on creating and bringing to life. So that is exactly how this portion of the painting felt for me. I was very focused on trying to get these mountains to look as close as I could to my reference picture. And once I felt like I got a good grasp on the overall composition of the mountains, then I started moving more towards the foreground or towards the bottom of this painting. And I think because I did spend so much time trying to accurately depict these mountaintops, it was definitely a challenge for me whenever it came to me painting these evergreen trees that are in the foreground of my painting here. I knew I wanted them to be there, and I'd kind of had mapped out for them to exist in this piece all along. But when the time came for me to paint them, it was tough, I'm not gonna lie. It was definitely like a bravery test to paint over the areas that I spent probably a total of at least a couple hours working on. But that's kind of the thing with artwork, is you can't be afraid to change things up for a better outcome. So yeah, I added some small distant trees on the hillside of these mountains, kind of leading into the snowy peaks at the very top. Just some small details give the viewer something else to look at when they look at these hillsides versus just a flat color. I made some little small peaks, like there was trees way off into the distance, and then here in the foreground I went in and started painting these evergreen trees. There really wasn't much more to it other than that. It was definitely a fun one to work on, a challenging one to work on, and I'm very happy with the overall result. So thank you guys for tuning in, and sharing a little bit of your time with me today. I definitely appreciate it. This painting will be for sale on my website very soon, along with fine art prints. Thank you. Have a good rest of your day.